Hey YouTube, Mike with Chasing Trail here. It is Saturday. It is a beautiful day. It's about 70 degrees and sunny, and I'm about to take this thing out for its maiden voyage. It will never be this clean again, so I do plan to get it a little bit dirty today, I'm afraid, but it belongs in its natural habitat, so that's where I intend to take it. Just a quick rock around here in the sun, and we'll do our first startup, and this will be a true first impressions video. I only rode it very briefly, very short test ride before bringing it home, so this will be my absolute first time really getting out and riding it. Yeah, it's a shame to get it dirty. It's so pretty, but we must. Anyway, let's do our first impressions here. I have no script for today, unlike my video yesterday. This will be fully off the cuff, so I can tell you I don't like this ignition thing. It's really wobbly. It's barely held on there by a little piece of plastic, so it doesn't feel great. I've seen some relocation kits that I think move it down to the fork tube or something. I'll probably look into one of those. It's awfully quiet with the stock setup. You can see her shaking. It is a dirt bike. I remarked on it before, but just pushing it out here, it's incredible how lightweight this thing feels. First thing I need to do is head down to the gas station and get some fuel. Let's make sure this thing is recording and I'm not just talking to myself like an asshole. I mean, I am doing that, but hopefully for some purpose. So this bike is definitely tall. At 6'1", 220 pounds, I am just able to flat foot it. I have not tweaked the suspension whatsoever. Don't know where it's at. I did visually look. The preload looks like it's pretty well maxed out. Oh yeah. It's powerful. I can tell you already there is a monster between my legs. This bike is also pretty powerful. Yeah, I know I've used that joke before. Give me a break, I'm a dad. I can definitely feel the vibrations through my feet. Considerable vibrations through the feet. I'm sure that will change based on RPM, but just cruising through the neighborhood here, definitely feel it. Oh my God. Oh boy. Yeah. If you're hoping to see wheelies, you'll be disappointed. I don't know how to wheelie, and I'm not about to try to learn here and now. Yeah, the vibrations sort of smooth out and vary based on RPM. It's definitely powerful, but if you're, if you know how to control your wrist, it's certainly not unmanageable. Even in, well, it is in stock form. Brakes feel really good, initial impression. We'll see as we get some more time on it. There's no neutral light. Okay, that's a little tricky. He did that. Cruising along at 57 indicated. That is in 6th gear. It's just loping along. No sweat. Brake feels really good. Yeah, brakes feel great. Much better than the DRZ. Now let me just start off saying I'm not going to really make comparisons between this bike and the CRF 300L Rally or the DRZ 400S. It just doesn't make any sense. To me, this is a whole different type of bike. It's a barely street legal dirt bike, whereas I feel like those other bikes are actual dual sports. My opinion may change as I ride this, and maybe I'll feel like it could be used as a dual sport, but that's not what I bought it for. I bought it to take me out to the trails. Even the route I'm taking today has more street than I would typically do on it, but I just kind of want to get a feel for it. I may compare the experience of riding this bike to those other bikes, but not really. I don't want to create the misconception that I'm comparing this bike against those, if that makes any sense. Bike feels plenty powerful in stock form, so knowing there's another 15 to be had very easily, and I can go up to, that would take it to 53, and knowing it can go up to 60 if you really want to get crazy is nuts to me. So we're cruising along, 60 indicated. Motor does not feel stressed at all. In fact, right at this RPM, the vibrations have smoothed out a bit. Plenty of passing power should you want it. Very quickly went up to 70. I don't know if you can see from those flags. We do have a considerable crosswind. I can feel it for sure, but you know, it is what it is. It's a lightweight bike. It gets blown around. So a bike I will be comparing this against is the CRF 450L. I still have a pretty good memory of that bike, as well as the things I liked and didn't like. And just to refresh my memory a little bit, I went back and watched some of my other videos I did on that. So I will certainly be making some comparisons between this and that. I had felt like that bike vibrated more than I would like, but it's definitely way less than this. This thing vibrates. That thing had a little buzz. So the stuff you hear about the 450L being better on vibration, definitely true. I can feel this one in every regard, through the handlebar, through my hands, my feet, and my ass. It's not bothering me, and I actually kind of like feeling a machine when I'm riding one. I don't like bikes that are too smooth. So for me it's fine, but I could definitely see if you're doing a much longer ride, that it'd probably get old pretty quick, especially if your extremities start to go numb, which I understand can happen. Oh, brake test. Holy shit, they work good. Oh my god. So despite how light it is, it feels really stable and planted, which I'm very happy about. I was concerned about that. One thing that's a big question mark for me is whether or not to get a steering stabilizer. I've watched a lot of videos on them. I've just never ridden with one, so I really don't know the benefit. It seems like a lot of money when I've never needed one. So if anyone has used one or has feedback about that, or whether they felt it was worth it, what circumstances or conditions you feel really warrant it, I'd be very curious to know. See, it has power, but it's definitely not unmanageable in the stock form. It's a little more than the DRZ, but it doesn't feel like a huge jump. It feels like exactly the jump you'd expect going from 400 to 500. Now, granted, I know the DRZ is uncorked and this is not, and I'm sure that that jump is going to feel considerable once this is uncorked, but again, just my initial impressions, and I only can compare it to other bikes I've ridden. On a back road like this, it feels really nice. I mean, frankly, all the dual sports I've ridden have felt nice on these kind of roads. This doesn't feel any better or worse. It definitely, I noticed the vibration more than any of the other bikes. No doubt about that. I will say I'm really pleasantly surprised how good and planted it feels on the road, given how lightweight it is. I was worried it was going to feel sort of twitchy and nervous. I don't feel that at all. It feels really good. Let's test at a slightly higher speed. 75 indicated. It's revving pretty good. Still feels really stable. 60 is definitely more comfortable. I really like knowing I have the passing power there if I need it. That was one of my biggest things about the 300 I didn't like. I hate not knowing I can't get around somebody if I need or want to in short order. You know, on roads like this, you're not going to have a legal passing opportunity, let's say. But I have been stuck behind some very sketchy and questionable drivers or situations where I wanted to get out of there, and it was either turn around or get around them in a hurry. Gosh, the brakes are so good. So yeah, very stable and planted, though. You do feel the wind, any little gust of wind, and you definitely notice it. Alright, here we are, Muletown Road. My favorite. Can't think of a better place to get a first impression on the old Muletown Road. I am on the stock tires, which are TKC 80s. They are probably a 50-50 tire, I would say. I don't know what the actual rating is. I know they're pretty popular on adventure bikes. I've seen a lot of criticism as a choice for the KTM for this bike, since this is definitely off-road focused. A lot of people wanted tires that would match that. I do like how quiet this thing is right now, and it doesn't sound bad. I mean, it definitely sounds corked up, but it still has a decent note to it for a stock exhaust. Alright, first time in the dirt. She's getting dirty now. Very curious to see if the suspension feels harsh. God, it's so light. You can immediately notice the weight off-road. Holy crap. Oh! Oh yeah! She'll break the back wheel loose, baby! Oh yeah! Awesome! Big bump here. Yeah, it's a little harsh. Not quite as plush as I like, but I imagine that can be solved with the clickers. Man, the weight is so noticeable off-road. I mean, you notice it on the road, but as soon as I got in the dirt, it was really apparent just how light this bike is. Whoa! Back brake locks up real easy. I fully expect to run into people out here today. It's too nice a day. So trying not to ride like an asshole. See how it feels high speed? Oh yeah. Feels good at high speed. Really soaks everything up. The 450L had a similar characteristic. Harder and faster you went, the better it felt. I think I'll want to soften the compression damping on here, particularly the low speed, if it has both. Oh! She likes to shake her ass. Yeah! It's fast. It's really fast. Oh goodness. Oh. I feel like I'm on a motorized mountain bike, a really fast mountain bike that I don't have to pedal. It just feels the same, like really solid planted feeling it has on the road. It has off-road too. That characteristic carried through in both environments. Interesting. It just feels solid. See, standing up. Standing position is not bad. Maybe handlebars very slightly taller. Yeah, I mean, if I actually crouch the way I should, it's probably pretty damn close already. Compression braking is nice. I love that. So you do definitely notice the vibrations through the pegs. Holy crap. It vibrates like crazy. Through the foot pegs more than anywhere else. Oh yeah! Oh shit, shit, shit. I always forget this fucking puddle. Oh! Someday I'll remember that's there. If we don't get some rain soon, it's not going to be there much longer. Oh yeah, it powers up this stuff like nothing. Here's a pretty gnarly section right here. Eats that up in the fueling. So this is a big thing I was wondering about. Sections like that previously, specifically that exact section are where the 450L really oh, had to pay attention for a second before I start yapping. That's where the 450L really annoyed me. When you tried to go through something slow like that, it was very difficult. The throttle was so snatchy with this on-off nature to it. Oh! Whoa! Feels better faster, so I hope I can soften this thing up a little bit with the clickers. Otherwise, it's going to make me feel like I need to ride faster than my ability, which is another issue with the 450L. The bike really felt like it felt best when it was being ridden hard. So let's see if I'm trying to slowly crawl through something. Yeah, the throttle's much better. Not nearly as twitchy. Yeah, this I can just slowly crawl through whatever. Stand up and pick my line. It's not stalling, no flame outs. Alright, feels good. I'm trying to sort of think about everything. I'm taking it all in right now. Trying to think about what else to say with my initial impressions. I don't want to downplay anything, and I don't want to overhype anything either. The bike is not mind-blowing. It's really good, but it's not like it's some revelation or something. The number one biggest factor that I noted, well, let me say this, the brakes are incredible. Really, really good brakes. Those are like, if anything stands out to me right now, it's how good the brakes are. The power is plenty, no question. I mean, I don't think anyone is surprised by that. The suspension, I'm surprised it seemed, I certainly haven't bottomed it yet. And I'm probably a much larger than typical average rider of this bike at 220 pounds. Also, I can flat foot the bike at 6'1", 220 with a 32-inch inseam. It compresses enough under my fat ass that flat footing is not a problem. I'm hoping I can soften the suspension a bit. Feels a bit harsh, which is one of the things I didn't like about the 450L. Namely over the slower type, when I'm just kind of sitting along, putting around, it feels pretty harsh. I'm still learning how to adjust and dial in suspension, so I'm going to head out to the OHV park. When I get there, I might turn these clickers a few, if it's readily apparent what each one does. The power is strong, but it certainly isn't going to rip your arms out, not in this stock form. I think anyone would be fine riding this in stock form, honestly. But I know what uncorking can do. I had a Raptor 700 quad before, and despite having a really big motor and being known for its power and torque, I thought that bike was perfectly fine to ride in stock form for anybody. And then I rode my buddy Trail Bloggers, and his is fully uncorked with a race-tuned ECU, the most stupidly obnoxiously loud exhaust I've ever heard, And I could not believe what a difference that stuff made to that machine. It turned it into an absolute fire-breathing monster. It felt like a completely different quad. I'm not kidding. It does try to rip your fucking arms out of their sockets and beat you to death with them. It was unbelievable how much of a difference that made. So I'm sure that once you uncork this thing, it becomes a completely different beast. But in stock form, it's really manageable. I wouldn't tell anyone to be intimidated of this thing whatsoever. It's certainly fast enough to accelerate and go at highway speed, no issue. But it doesn't feel crazy or anything. That's full throttle, uphill. It's pulling hard for sure, but it's not crazy. God, the brakes are so good. So yeah, so far the standout things are the brakes and the stability. This thing feels so planted and good and stable. I don't know, I'm not well versed enough in this stuff to know the reasons why. If that's suspension, the chassis, frame, geometry, etc. All I can tell you is it feels really, really good. Way better than I expected it to feel for how light it is. And that feeling persists when you go off-road. It feels so solid and good. It's a really confident feeling. I don't know how else to put it. That is what has impressed me most of all. The engine, yeah, it's strong. Suspension, yeah, it does what suspension does. I may change my tune if I can dial it in and make it feel better for what I want. Like right now, this is probably blasphemy to say this, the DRZ 400 feels better to me in terms of suspension than this does. For the way I ride. For me, and as far as I know, my DRZ is completely stock suspension. It feels really good. I love it. This still feels a little on the harsh side. But the number one reason I decided to go with this KTM or Husqvarna or a Beta, how about you people stay in your own fucking lane? How about that? Sons of bitches. Oh, the weight. So the number one reason I decided to go for a fully, or wanted to try, let's put it that way, and see if this is the right machine for me, a fully off-road oriented bike, is the weight. After my debacle in the snow, and just realizing how easy it is to get tired and have to pick up a heavy bike in a less than ideal circumstance, I wanted the absolute lightest weight machine possible, and that's exactly what this is. This KTM in particular, of the bikes I was looking at, is the lightest option. I think it's 255 pounds full of fuel. It's between 255 and 260. I can say this for it too. Yeah, it's not a good street bike, but it feels way better on the street than it should for how much of a dirt machine it is. I have no problem riding this thing on these streets like this. It feels so planted. The brakes are so good. The only thing I would criticize is the vibration. And even that isn't like, oh my god, my feet. It's just there. I'm pointing it out because it's new to me and I'm noticing it. Felt that? Oh, you feel the wind gust. This thing gets blown around like a sailor on shore leave. Yeah, I've used that one before too. Fuck off. So how about some trivia? This is the second thing I've bought this week that was made in Austria. Can anyone guess what the other thing is? Put your answer in the comments. If you get it right, I'll enter you into a giveaway to win jack shit. Because I don't make any money from my videos, and I just spent every penny I had on this bike. Oh yeah, it's got grunt. God, it just, what is it? Is it the frame? Someone who knows more about this shit, explain this to me. Why does this thing feel so fucking stable and planted and just like it will, I don't, let me take a moment and try to compose my words. The feel, is it the rigidity or something? It just feels so, God, it feels really good. And it's so light on top of it. So those are the things that are blowing me away. The motor, suspension, okay, whatever. Again, stock form, unadjusted. Don't get upset with me. But the way this thing feels in terms of the frame and such, and how light it is, that is what is blowing me away.